Hi guys, and welcome to part 4 of the ebooks that I got for free. With this particular one, these are all ones that were free on Amazon, where I got the email, excuse me, notification and said, hey, there's a deal on these books and you can get these sent to your Kindle and it's free. Some of them were on Kindle Unlimited, but I opted for the option to own a copy of the book, and that in that case, because sometimes you can get it on Kindle Unlimited or you can buy the book for like, you know, $12, $20, $1, or in this case free. So all of these books I'll be telling you about, when I looked at them, they were free. So that's just something to keep an eye out if you love reading Kindle books. Amazon would be a great place to look and keep an eye on the prices, because the prices do change frequently from what I have seen. How frequently just is going to depend on the book. But they will go on sale down to $1 and sometimes even free. So and I think this is a great way to find definitely new authors and ones that aren't talked about very much on BookTube. So let's go ahead and get into this. I've got quite a few here to tell you about. This first one is called The Outcast Child. This was written by Jacobo Priegue. All I know is that this one's fiction. I don't know the genre or the age range. The tagline on the cover on Goodreads says, "Do you trust yourself?" This one has 119 ratings with an average star rating of 3.71. This one says, Laura Costa, a charity worker, Costa or Costa? I'm going to say Costa, I think. Laura Costa, a charity worker settled in London, tries to escape from her dark past by traveling to Cusco, Peru, where she hopes to find the redemption she seeks. I have not read anything that takes place in Peru, so I am excited for that. When she discovers Kevin, an abandoned 2-year-old boy, injured and on the verge of starvation, Laura thinks she has finally found a purpose and decides to devote herself to saving the child. However, what looks like a case of neglect turns out to be something much darker, and Laura finds out very soon that to save Kevin, she will have to fight ignorance and superstition, not only in the slum in Cusco, but also back in England. In her search of happiness for her and her family, Laura's life becomes an eternal struggle against prejudice and ignorance that makes her doubt about everything she knows, only to discover that the greatest obstacle in her way is none other than she herself. So that sounds pretty good. Yeah. And part of the reason why I'm doing these haul videos is I did not look at the synopsis. I was like, okay, this is free, I'll get this. This is free, this cover looks good, you know, something like that. But I am finding out what these are with you. So you're getting genuine, this is here, I'm looking forward to this, or I'm not so sure about this type of a reaction. All right, up next we have, now when I saw this title, I thought it would have been a steamy romance. This, on Goodreads, it does not have the genre listed, but I think it was under mystery or mystery thriller on the email that I got. And the title is Daddy Issues. So I was thinking it was going to be a romance or an erotica or something like that. But it's a thriller, and just from the title alone is the only reason I thought, no, that's going to be sexual in nature. This was written by McEwen. This has 82 ratings with an average of 3.63. This one, it's a shorter book. It says the Kindle is only 168 pages, and that's the other thing. A lot of these ones that are free are going to be on the shorter end. I haven't seen much that are very long. I have seen anywhere from like 50 pages, those are the shortest, to just shy, maybe just over 300 pages, but I haven't seen anything longer than that. So that's just what I personally have found. So this one says, Wagner Siebenthaler, I don't know, is doing well for himself. He is the blue-collar success story. He has a thriving business, a nice house, a pretty wife, a growing daughter, and a girlfriend on the side. He's living the good life. Okay, so automatically I'm a little leery. Depending on how this affair is handled and the cheating, sometimes I don't like that. More often than not, I don't. Well, it's hard to say. I don't read a lot of books with affairs and cheating. I mean, that has started to increase. But I'm still just a little leery of it because there is a history of that in my family. One of my family members cheated on their spouse. So it's a little personal and hits a little close to home. It wasn't me or anything. I've never been married, so never even had a boyfriend or a partner or anything. But it hits a little close to home as far as that goes. But we'll see how it's handled. And then the synopsis continues on. It says, that all changes when his daughter is sexually assaulted. Now all Wagner wants is revenge. So that's interesting. I have read of books where the person gets sexually assaulted and it's told from the victim's perspective, or the ones that I've read are told from like a friend's perspective, never from a father's perspective. So that will be interesting. Okay, so that obsession for vengeance, however, pries open a small crack in his psyche. What comes out is a tsunami of pain and violence that crashes over the Kentucky landscape, carrying away the lives of anyone close to him. In this okay, so then it's saying it's a brutally honest novel. Explores the meaning of manhood and fatherhood in modern America. So that marginalizes the virtues of men and fathers. So this, I guess he's probably going to be predicted or depicted as a manly macho man. So we'll see how that one goes. Now, this one... Okay, so the title of this one is called Ruin Me. And let me go to the first one, because it's the first one. This is a series, and the series is called Secret Seduction. And this was written by C.J. Thomas. This one says it's a romance. Now, when I clicked on, because I have all these pulled up on different tabs on my computer. When I pulled it up and I hit the box set for whatever reason instead of the first actual book, it listed it as erotica, but it doesn't say that with the tag on the first one. So I don't know if it turns into that or if it is and it's just not tagged as such for the first book. I really don't know. So this one has 369 ratings with an average of 3.74. And let's see, it says is a 5-part series, so that's good to know, not a major commitment. Kim Vogel's life is easy. She has a great family, a world-class education, and what she loves to do. Friends who support her no matter what she couldn't ask. Okay, friends who support her no matter what, and she couldn't ask for anything more. I hate it when there's punctuation errors in synopsises. Sure, she has to work hard, but that's fine by her. Best friend Vi thinks she's missing out in the relationship department, but Kim begs to differ, keeping to herself and remaining a virgin all through college. With graduation day just around the corner, she's excited for what the future holds, and she's anxiously awaiting the arrival of her parents to show them the life she's created with their distant support. But a life-changing call from her mom leaves her in limbo, unable to figure out how to go on, or how to help them when they've given her so much. Okay, this looks like it's told in dual POV because now it's switching over to someone named Jackson. And this says, Jackson Morgan believes his life is perfect. His little sister, Liv, is one of his best friends. He owns his company, which comfortably provides him for everything he wants and plenty he doesn't. Liv encourages him to settle down and create the perfect family like she has. But he's riding the wave of success and is happier with relationships that last no more than 3 dates. His conversation with Liv works its way into his personal life and decides to take a risk there, rather than just in his professional life. So when his path crosses with Kim's at this turning point for both of them, neither of them see what's coming or what it means for their futures, but each holds the key to the other's happiness, if only they can see past their own insecurities and fears. So that sounds pretty good. I mean, I don't get erotic vibes from that, so I don't know, but I do get the romance vibes. Okay, up next is called Note by Note. This looks like a standalone. This was written by Janice Maynard. 15 ratings with an average of 4.4. There's no tags showing on this one yet. And this was published in 2013. So that one surprises me that there's no tags because it's been around for, you know, just over 9 years. Because this came out, looks like November 13th. So, and it looks like this is an independent published because it does say independent publishing platform. So, yeah, so this might, if you're looking for independently published books, this might be one to look into. This one says, the journey from best friends to lovers follows a dangerous road. Readers will fall in love with the characters and their foibles. With its well-crafted storyline and characters, this is a delightful read. Okay, romantic times. Jane has wanted Ethan for years, but she's never found a way to tell him. With Valentine's Day fast approaching, she decides to woo him with a series of erotic valentines every Thursday until the big day. Then she'll finally reveal her true identity. But when her stationery store is vandalized, Sheriff Ethan comes to her rescue and the sparks start flying ahead of schedule. Now Jane and her erotic alter ego are competing for Ethan's attention. Okay, so this sounds like it's going to be erotic, and that is not the vibe that I get from looking at the cover on Goodreads. Let's see. Soon friends become lovers, but will this new relationship last? A truly sensational story. Okay, and then it just goes how this is such a great romance. So that's all it says. So it's probably going to be an erotica. Not sure how I feel about that, but okay. So up next we have Dance With Me at Midnight. This was written by Rose Hart. This one only has 3 ratings with an average of 4.67. No tags. This is fairly new. It says this was published on September 16th of 2022. So that does not surprise me that there's no tags on there yet. This one says he's a billionaire with heart problems. James Sullivan has learned to live in the limelight. He's neat, orderly, and likes to stick to his routine. Yet his tidy little world comes undone when a family friend dares the billionaire to go out with a girl of her choosing. James reluctantly agrees. Tanya just wants to get a job, any job. The last thing Tanya expected was to be asked out on a date by one of these Sullivan billionaires. But as she draws closer to James, Tanya becomes afraid that he will discover her secret. As tension arises, a new evil arrives that might tear the new couple apart forever. So this one sounds like it's going to be another one that's in dual POV. So there is that. I did something funky, and it's like I know I saw a synopsis on here to get this pulled up for this video. Okay, up next we have the Billionaire Boys Club. This does have the romance contemporary tag. And this one has 944 ratings with an average of 3.68. This one says, Kelsey North has never kissed a billionaire before. Well, she's not alone in that. I haven't either. Let's see. She has never yelled at a billionaire before. In fact, before she arrived at Darrow Law School, she had never met a billionaire before. A small town girl rebuilding her life, Kelsey lived in a world far from the seductions and temptations that money has to offer. But now she knew 2 billionaires, the gorgeous, devilishly carefree Ryan Perkins and the handsome but arrogant Tyler Olson. Will Kelsey be able to resist the lure of the Billionaire Boys Club? That's all it says. So, who knows? I don't really know for sure what it's about other than that it's a romance. So I don't know if there's going to be any other underlying plot other than just a budding romance. Next up, this one I had to look up on Amazon because there was no synopsis on Goodreads. And this one is called A Boat Named Blind Faith. So I don't know what genre this is. This looks like it's a standalone. This was written by Norman Philip Jeddeloh, I'm guessing. No idea. Let's see. Marco Adamos is an unmarried 40-year-old theoretical physicist whose career is at a crossroads. After a year of dead-end research in New Mexico, he returns to Chicago and cajoles a friend, Frank Douglas, to go sailing on Lake Michigan. While cutting through the usually choppy waters, Marco and Frank encounter another sailboat, Blind Faith, piloted by two men dressed in black robes with pointed hats. But it's the beautiful woman accompanying them who captivates Marco. Across the waters, their eyes meet in a fleeting but astonishingly intimate embrace before the boats sail out of sight. Back on shore, Marco is obsessed with finding her again. The pursuit leads Marco to unexpectedly dark places, including a brush with the occult when he is captured by a sadistic witch's coven. To escape, Marco must rely on luck and his physical prowess. But to find love and save his career, he needs to call upon his scientific intellect, not the blind faith of his captors. So the fact that there's an occult in here, I do enjoy it when books have parts of that. I don't participate in that or anything, but I do enjoy reading about that in fiction. I don't think I could handle reading about that if there's a nonfiction, but fictionalized, I'm fine. Next up, looks like is another standalone. This is called Heart of Gold, written by Olene Quinn. This one has 7 ratings with an average of 4.43. And tags, it just says it's historical, so historical fiction. Gold County, California, 1885. When Ada Jackson's groom is shot dead at the altar, her future dies with him. Though she was only half married, the salacious gossips of Harmony Ridge don't care. Ada is no longer allowed to serve as the mistress of the one-room schoolhouse. Stripped of her calling, she is left in a cloud of grief with no prospect of having her own children. Her father, however, has a plan. A marriage between his daughter and his business partner, Callum Oak, would bring a vast fortune to his family, yet the man in question is an unconventional match at best. Callum has sworn never to marry. If his orphanage upbringing, his service in the Civil War, and his experiences in the rugged hills of the West have taught him anything, it's that people hurt you. Solitude does not. Though he does his best to fight off Malik Jackson's suggestions of marriage, he is no match for his manipulations. Almost before he knows what has happened, he finds himself wed. Bound by mutual respect as well as their vows, Ada and Callum agree to try to love one another. But when a ghost from their past returns to torment them, can their fledgling relationship survive? Oh, you know what? This is actually part of a series. It does say this is a sweet romance, so it will not be spicy. It's a sweet romance and is book 1 in the Harmony Ridge historical series. And it does say each book may be read as a standalone. I wish, in cases where books can be read as a standalone, that it would be stated more like that on Goodreads more often, with each book saying, hey, read this in any order that you want. But for whatever reason, it's just not. Okay, so next up is Lost Secret. This is book number 1 in the Kiss Chronicle. Holy cow, let me try that again. This is book number 1 in Kiss Chronicles series, written by Emily Reed. This one has 142 ratings with an average of 3.98. This one says it's a fantasy paranormal. My dying sister vanished in the middle of the night. Usually, Megan called to me before dawn, but sunshine pooled on the bare wood floor beneath the window when I woke. My heart leapt into my throat. She's dead. After months of fighting Megan finally, I hadn't felt it though. Wouldn't I know it if the only person I ever loved, and it just ends there. What? I stumbled out of bed, tangling in my blankets, then raced to her room. Empty. The sheets were folded aside. She must be close. I moved down the hall toward our shared bathroom. The door stood open, but Megan wasn't there. Backtracking, I checked the living room with its slouchy couches and the kitchen with its worn countertops. No Megan. I pushed through the French doors out to our balcony. This is a really long synopsis. So obviously someone's gone missing, and there's going to be fantastical and paranormal elements. Someone's dead, but I don't know if they really are. I mean, this is a long synopsis. So I think I'm going to end it there because I don't want to have too much spoiled, because the longer the synopsis, generally the more chance of being spoiled. This one does say, okay, this on Goodreads says, beware, the series is for adults who enjoy steamy paranormal romance with strong urban fantasy vibes and who don't mind a few F-bombs. So, not sure how I'm going to feel about this one now. But let's go ahead and move on to the next book. All right, next up we have an epic fantasy. And this is The Hunter's Rede, I'm guessing is how it's said. This is book number 1 in the Chronicles of Ilarion, written by F.T. McKinstry. This has 112 ratings with an average of 3.96. This one says, Lorth of Osterion is a hunter of men. Lawless, solitary, and obscure, he is trained in magic and its inherent order. This uneasy combination of pitilessness and structure has made him the highest paid assassin in the land. It is also about to throw his life into chaos. The trouble begins when Lorth returns home from a long absence to find his old haunts compromised by a cruel upstart warlord who has invaded the realm and pushed it to the brink of war. Lorth's cavalier attempt to elude a political sandpit quickly deteriorates into a series of skirmishes that he negotiates with a sword and a reckless penchant for using magic against the rules. He flees with a price on his head, but no angry warlords, wizards, foreign aristocrats, or spooky apparitions can rattle him from the dark stability of his profession, until he is captured and condemned to execution by a formidable wizard who serves the old powers. So, and then it talks about how he needs to prove his innocence and loyalty to the realm. So, definitely sounds political, a war-torn area type of a situation. So, that actually sounds pretty good. Next up is The Girl Who Sees. This one was written by Dima Zales. I have seen this author pop up, and I think I've received another free book by this author. This also has another author name of Anna Zares. So maybe it's written by 2 authors, or one's a pen name. I don't know. But this is book number 1 in the Sasha Urban series. And this is an urban fantasy with paranormal, magic, vampires, zombies. So we've got a plethora of stuff. This synopsis is really short, but this does have 2,382 ratings with an average of 3.85. It says, I'm an illusionist, not a psychic. Going on TV is supposed to advance my career, but things go wrong. Like vampires and zombies kind of wrong. My name is Sasha Urban, and this is how I learned what I am. That's literally all that it says. So I really don't know much of anything. So you're going in pretty blind. All right. Up next, we have a fantasy romance. It also is tagged as, this is what I hate sometimes. This is tagged as adult, new adult, and young adult. Who the heck knows what this actually is as far as the age range goes? Who knows? I guess it'll just depend how I feel with the subject matter and how it's written. I don't know. This is Mistress of the Wind by Michelle Diener, I'm guessing is how that is said. This is a fantasy romance. It also has that this is a retelling and is also tagged as fairy tales. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. This has 663 ratings with an average of 3.73. This one says, born, I don't know, needs to find a very special woman. The fate of his people and his own life depends on it. But when he does find her, she is nothing like he imagined and may just harbor more secrets than he does himself. Astrid has never taken well to commands, no matter who issues them. She's clashed her whole life with her father and now her lover, the mysterious man who comes to her bedroom in darkness and disappears to guard his mountain by day as a bear. is finding out the hard way. And when he's taken by his enemies, no one is prepared for Astra's response. It is never wise to anger the Mistress of the Wind, a captivating and magical adult retelling of the fairy tale East of the Sun, West of the Moon. Okay, so it looks like this is a collection of short stories, at least 3 short stories. So I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be more or just the 2 or the 3 or whatever, but it seems like it's a collection of stories. So that's all I can tell you on that. Who knows? Next up, I have The Girls of Victory Street. The cover says historical fiction, and yes, this is a historical fiction, World War II, which I think that's pretty much with historical fiction, if it's going to have a war, it's predominantly World War II. I would like to see more variety. I know there's World War I and other stuff, but it just seems like it's very heavily saturated with World War II novels, which is fine, but I would like to see ideally more variety in that. So The Girls of Victory Street is book number 1 in the Bryant Sisters series, written by Pam Houes. There is 1,609 ratings with an average of 4.40, so a pretty good rating. It says, Liverpool, 1939. Bella Rogers thought her life was just starting. She can't wait to get married to her childhood sweetheart, Bobby. But when war is declared and Bobby is called up, his letters stop, leaving Bella heartbroken and alone. Then her family is torn apart by tragedy when her angelic 5-year-old sister dies from a terrible illness. Oh, loss of a child. They can barely afford a funeral, but the church is packed with the entire community devastated for their loss. Grieving for her sister and lost love, Bella finds a job at the Bryant and May factory making matches. As bombs begin to fall, Bella gets the workers singing, keeping spirits high amidst the fear. When she meets a handsome American airman, Earl Franklin Jr., Bella's heart finally starts to mend. Earl encourages her passion, and soon she and her friends are offered the opportunity of a lifetime to travel the country's army bases, entertaining the troops and singing for victory. They name themselves the Bryant Sisters. Okay, that's pretty cool. Usually I see things about like the regime or trying to take things down, but to try to lift spirits and singing, this is definitely a different perspective that I've seen. Just as her life is getting back on track, Bella finds herself pregnant, and Earl reveals a shattering secret that changes everything about their future. Desolate, she flees home to Liverpool, but as an unmarried mother, will her family reject her? And as she faces a terrible sacrifice, will she ever sing with the Bryant Sisters again? It says this is a heartbreaking historical novel about women in wartime, friendship, family, and hope. Perfect for fans of Nadine Dorries, Denny Costello, and Wives of War. So, I don't know. I think this is going to be a definite tearjerker type of a book. So I got to be prepared for that. All right. Up next, looking at the cover that's on Goodreads, I'm a little weirded out. It's just very bizarre. This is a collection of short stories, so this is an anthology. Anyway, this was either written or compiled by Jonathan Maas, or Maas, I'm guessing. It looks like it's the same spelling as like Sarah J. Maas, so I think it's Maas. This is Thylacine Dreams. I'm sure I butchered that. It says 6 tales of science fiction, horror, and fantasy. So a collection of short stories. And just like I said, as far as the tags go, it's science fiction, horror, and fantasy. So there's that. This one has 68 ratings with an average of 4.09. Let's see if this says anything. We wake up with a woman who sleeps for centuries so that she can monitor humanity's progress. We discover a world that has survived the apocalypse but remains unaware of the horror that still moves beneath the surface. We meet a couple who learns why you should never go back in time. It says, let's see, some of the characters are on a grand direction, while some of them are just ordinary people who find themselves in circumstances beyond their understanding. But every one of them holds the importance of an ending and will show you things you've never thought possible. So, I don't know. I am definitely intrigued because I do want to read more short stories. Sometimes I like them and sometimes I don't. So, we'll see. So I would like to get more of a feel of what type of short stories I like. Next up is called New Hope, Galactic War. So I'm guessing this is a sci-fi. This was written by Matt Fatek. 94 ratings with an average of 4.06. And this does not have any tags on here. So I'm guessing it's science fiction, especially with looking at the cover of like this part of an astronaut's head and some planet reflected in the face thingy, and Earth in the distance. So yes, definitely a science fiction. It says, a mysterious signal on the moon, a secret shadow organization, and a secret so profound it will change the world forever. A war is coming. When Ellie Johnson crashed her multi-billion-dollar spaceship during its maiden voyage on the surface of the moon on international TV in primetime, with practically the whole world watching, she believed things couldn't have gone any worse. And I bet she was very wrong with that thinking. Already trapped in the worst day of her life, she must fight to stay alive and uncover the mystery of her untimely crash landing. And that is just the beginning. Great and ancient threats lurk in the darkness of the moon, and soon Ellie will discover that the universe is a far more dangerous place than anyone had ever imagined. Ellie only wanted to do something that mattered, but one should always be careful what they wish for. Dun dun dun. Looks like this is part of a series. Okay, so not a standalone, because it says if you like profound government secrets, ancient civilization theories, and life-changing moments, you'll love book 1 and book 2 of this latest sci-fi adventure. So there's the confirmation that it is sci-fi. And this doesn't say if it's book 1 or 2, so I'm hoping this is the synopsis. It sounds like the synopsis for a book 1. So we will just go from there. Up next is book number 1 in the Confederated Worlds series. This one is titled Take the Shilling, written by Redmond Ike. 41 ratings with an average of 4.27. This is another science fiction. Let's see, the synopsis is fairly short. For me, this is like the perfect length synopsis that I'll give you here. It says, the Confederated Worlds implanted in Thomas's brain the skills to make him a soldier. He had to learn for himself how to survive the interstellar war. Thomas Newman sought escape from his backwater planet and overbearing mother and a mentor to replace his long-dead father. Let's see, taking the shilling, enlisting in the Confederate Worlds military promised both. But despite the soldier's skills implanted in his brain, combat still threatened to destroy him in body and in spirit. Grieving for lost comrades, demoralized by a spirit of atrocities, could Thomas learn what he needs to survive before facing his war's ultimate challenge? So, just sounds like it'll be rather political, but definitely heavy on the war. Which I don't mind. That just means more action in a book, I would think. Alright, next up, there is no synopsis for this on Goodreads, so I have it pulled up on Amazon. This is titled The Dragons Racing Club, which when I saw dragon, I was like, so I hope this is a fantasy with dragons. I will be disappointed if it's not. Let's see. It's, according to Amazon, this is only 116 pages, so this is a novella. And this one says, when Danielle returns to her hometown in the Smoky Mountains for her grandfather's funeral, she discovers that the racing club that she helped found is in financial trouble. The lease on the garage the club meets in is up for sale, and the club will need $100,000 to keep it. A car company commercial shoot closing off the... Wait. yes, is closing off the area creates the perfect circumstance for a midnight run. A dangerous race on the treacherous Dragon, a road in Deals Gap near North Carolina and Tennessee border, known for its ominous 318 twists and curves. Danielle has dominated races on the Dragon many times before. When a driver is unable to compete, dang it, she must take his place to represent the club. So I was wrong. I am disappointed. This is not going to have dragons. It's race cars, and they just named it after dragons, is what that sounds like. So I am disappointed. Dang it. All right, let's move up to something that I hope is not disappointing. There are no tags on this one. This is called The Awakening of Claudia Faraday, I'm guessing is how it's said. This was written by Patsy Trench, has 32 ratings with an average of 3.75. All right, this one says Lady Chatterley meets Downton Abbey. So if you like Downton Abbey, maybe you'll like this. So that tells me it's going to be historical, historical romance maybe, or at least definitely a historical fiction. It's got better in time, though to be truthful, it always felt more of a duty than a pleasure. A little like homework, satisfying when over and done well, but never exactly enjoyable. But when nobody has ever suggested it could be otherwise. This is the view of Claudia Faraday, 1920s respectable wife and mother of 3, on the subject of sex. That is until an unexpected turn of events shakes her out of her torpor and propels her back into the world, revitalized and reawakened, where she discovers, as Marie Stopes might have said, approached in the right way, even homework can be fun. So that sounds like it's going to be pretty steamy. Good to know. Okay. All right, up next is a Valentine challenge. This is book number 1 in the challenge series, written by Kiru Tay, I'm guessing is how that is said. This has 166 ratings, with an average of 3.81. It says 3 friends, 3 challenges. Are they willing to risk everything for love? It does say this is a contemporary romance, and looks like this is going to be set in Africa, because Africa is a tag. I don't get a lot of books set in Africa as well. I need to broaden my horizon. Okay. Life is good for ex-soldier turned entrepreneur Michael Eade, or so he thinks. When his friends set him a challenge to exorcise the memory of a woman from his past, he expects it to be a walk in the park. Socialite Casey Bosa, I had trouble with that word, socialite. Anyway, Casey is spitting fire at men. Her long-term boyfriend has asked for a break via text message, of all things. Now that's just rude. Should be done in person, I think. Fuming, she's told him to take a dive off the nearest bridge. So the next man who crosses her path is at risk of being shredded with her spa-manicured nails. Bad news for Michael, who has chosen her as the object of his challenge. But neither of them can deny the sizzling chemistry between them, nor the control of their responses. It seems. It's a season of love. Will they escape unscathed? So this sounds like it's probably going to be pretty steamy as well. All right. Moving on. This next one is actually classified as a young adult, paranormal, fantasy, romance, mystery, contemporary. It's got a couple of them on there. This is called True Colors. It's the first book in the Masks series, written by Melissa Pearl. This was written by Melissa Pearl. This one has 870 ratings with an average of 3.86. The cover that's on here on Goodreads I like, because it has that eye mask that is, it looks kind of delicate and lacy and intricate and has a flower, and I like those. I think it's like a masquerade mask or something where it's just the eyes, and it's really pretty from what I can see on the cover, but I am already intrigued by that. So let's see what this is going to be about. it says, Caitlin Davis always cruised through life, not being the type to ruffle feathers or involve herself in high school drama. That is, until a chance encounter with a strange homeless man changes everything. Suddenly, Caitlin has the ability to see behind people's masks. She discovers that her life isn't as simple as she imagined, and high school is filled with secrets, some very sinister ones. Unable to ignore her new gift, Caitlin embarks on a mission to learn why one of her friends suddenly appears terrified, but masks her fear with a bright, smiling veneer. Will Caitlin's new ability lead her into hot water, or is her newfound vision a blessing that will expose her friend's true colors? Her quest will lead Caitlin to lose friends, stand up for those in need, and even find love. It says at Palisades High School, every face tells a story. So, yeah, that actually sounds pretty interesting. And as someone who, for me, it hits just a little different because I'm autistic and I'm used to masking and putting on a front and a show to try and fit in. It would be nice if someone actually knew about some of this stuff, so that I didn't have to get worn out and burn out fronting something else. But I'm getting better at that. Not perfect. Like being here at home and sitting in the front of the camera, I am authentic. I'm not fronting. I'm not masking. But if I go out in public, I generally do, because I'm so afraid of what people are going to think and say, and that's anxiety as well, but also trying to understand things. So the more people that know about stuff and how my mind processes, the better. So for me, reading that just makes me go, I wish there was someone that was actually like that, or that gift would actually help me, because then I'd be better able to respond, feel like I can respond appropriately in more situations. So that would be a very, I think a cool gift to have. So anyway, moving on, we have The Secret of Seaside, written by Agatha Ball. I almost said Bell, it's Ball. This is book number 1 in the Paige Comer series, I'm guessing is how that is said. This one is a cozy mystery, and this has 4,757 ratings with an average of 3.88. Welcome to Seaside, a sleepy island village filled with sandy beaches, colorful characters, and murder. Paige Comer dreams of running off to Paris to train at the Cordon Bleu, but fresh out of college, she is stuck running her granny's coffee shop in the small town of Seaside. It looks like a lousy summer until a handsome stranger named Nate arrives. He's here to help his Uncle Byron with his affairs, but when his uncle's body washes up on the beach and Nate is thrown into prison, it is up to Paige to find out who might have been crazy enough to do it. So this is interesting because most of them, it's like a family member that's the suspect or the actual main character. I haven't read any where it's the family member of the main character. The cozy mysteries I have read have all been the main character is the prime suspect, at least in book number 1. So to know that this is someone completely else, someone completely different, it's not a family member, maybe a romantic interest, that's different. And so I am definitely interested in that. Moving on, we have Dangerous Deeds. This is book number 1 in the Westport Mysteries series, written by Beth Prentice. This has 1,394 ratings with an average rating of 4.27. This is another cozy mystery, but it's also labeled as romance and chick lit, romantic suspense. So not exactly sure what the more accurate genre tag is. This one says, when one door closes, another opens, or falls off its hinges. They say that love is blind. Sure, they weren't necessarily talking about old houses at the time, but that's the story I'm sticking with. And I like that theory a whole lot better than the one about me losing my mind. I knew that buying a fixer-upper, I'd be stumbling into an unknown abyss of demolition, dust, and unfathomable costs. but I never expected to find an engagement ring and letters of forbidden love hidden under the attic floorboards. Oh, interesting. Nor did I, that would be such a cool find. That would be really cool. Nor did I expect a lazy cat, or the drop-dead gorgeous handyman, and I definitely didn't predict the stalker. As the renovation begins and the house starts to slowly return to its former glory, the letters dog my dreams. Who is the mysterious penman, and why was their love forbidden? And who is trying so hard to keep me from learning the truth about it all? Working alongside my hunky handyman Riley is proving to be quite the distraction, but I'm determined to solve the puzzle of the long-lost love affair. Only can I restore the house to its former glory and solve the mystery before my stalker catches up with me, or will I lose everything, including my life? So, it says it's the first book in a light-hearted romantic mystery series. If you like crazy families, fun, engaging reads, and sweet romance, all tied together with a ribbon of danger, then you'll love this first book. So maybe not exactly a cozy mystery, but maybe more cozy mystery vibes, but not officially a cozy mystery is what that leads me to believe. All right, up next we have the Aura. Is that how it said? The Aura. This is book number 1 in the Kate Benedict series, written by Carrie Bedford. This has 1,315 ratings with an average of 3.97. This one is listed as also as a cozy mystery, but it's further on down the tags, so I'm not quite sure on that. But it is listed as a paranormal mystery fantasy with supernatural aspects. So, let's see. Okay, life spins out of control for London architect Kate Benedict when she sees a dancing aura above certain people's heads that seems to signal death. Suddenly, she's psychic. But that can't be. Psychics not acceptable in her circle, where the supernatural is strictly for the superstitious, and yet people are dying, people close to her. Kate's tentative attempts to talk about her newfound metaphysical gift are met with eye rolls, so much so that she can't even tell the nice Scotland Yard detective who's investigating the death of a close friend, Rebecca Williams. And now Rebecca's neighbor has an aura. So what's Kate to do but try to save him by turning detective herself? So that does give me cozy mystery vibes, because that's usually the case with cozy mysteries. It's the police aren't doing a good enough job, whether literally or in opinion. So, yeah. A break-in and attack on her boyfriend confirm that the murderer is catching on that Kate knows too much. But he, or maybe she, has no idea what Kate knows is a little on the paranormal side. That actually sounds pretty good. Scotland Yard. So this tells me it does not take place in America. I don't know exactly where. I hear Scotland Yard, I think Scotland, but I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Does Scotland Yard extend to other countries in Europe as well? I'm not positive on that. So actually, you know what? I'm going to Google this since I've got my computer. Scotland Yard covers, let's see, covers what countries? Let's see. Or maybe it's just called Scotland Yard, but it says it's the Greater London area or City of Westminster. Scotland Yard, formerly New Scotland Yard, the headquarters of the London Metropolitan Police, and by association, a name often used to denote that force. It is located on the River Thames at Victoria Embankment, just north of Westminster Bridge in the city of Westminster. So in London. So it's not Scotland, it's London. Okay. So I was wrong. I just made the assumption based on the name of the organization. So that's my bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this next book. We've got just a handful left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 left, so less than 10. A little more than a handful. This next one, there are no tags. It is called When Forever Breaks. This was written by D.A. Callahan. There are 6 ratings with an average of 4.33. So the majority of people that have read this, there's only 1 review, but the majority that have rated this have liked it, it looks like. This says, a young boy believes he is safe with an adoptive family. Uh-oh. His mother was killed by the man that abused and terrified him. Okay, so right off you've got child abuse. So trigger for that. His new parents strive to help him overcome what he has survived, but a stranger has come forward to destroy everything they have accomplished. Now the fight begins to save the child again. So this one definitely sounds probably thriller or domestic thriller, but definitely trigger for child abuse. How far that extent goes, I just won't know until I read it. All right, moving on, we have Angry Betty, written by Jamie Lee Scott. This is book number 1 in the Kate Darby crime novel series. This has 1,182 ratings with an average of 3.77. As far as the tags, it says it's mystery suspense, mystery thriller, crime. Okay. A female cop, a dead body in the trunk of a Mercedes, and drug cartels in a small town. Love small town books, so I'm happy about that. Kate Darby learned to hate cops at an early age, thanks to her drug-addicted mom, so no one would have guessed she'd become a cop when she grew up. Now patrolling the streets of Peculiar, Texas, Kate does her best to keep her town safe. She's trained to be ready for anything on a routine traffic stop. When she pulls a Mercedes over for running a stop sign, the fact the driver flees isn't unexpected, but the dead body in the trunk. ... So obviously that's unexpected. I would think, yeah, definitely unexpected. Okay, up next we have Confessions of an Accidental Lawyer. This was written by Michael Stockham, I am guessing. This is a thriller mystery. 546 ratings with an average of 4.26. It says, oh, and this one also takes place in Texas. At least part of it, but it does say Texas on here. It says, battling against a Texas prison, a young lawyer fights for a fair trial in a prison-friendly town as witnesses and evidence evaporate. Scarred physically and emotionally by a botched delivery, his wife struggles to realize their dream of a healthy baby and a happy family. So it sounds like there's probably going to be infertility stuff. I don't know. Trapped in solitary confinement, an inmate fights for medicine to keep his failing heart pumping. Torn between career and family, with the lives of a prisoner, his wife, and his unborn child on the line, the young lawyer struggles to ensure that his client, his family, and his integrity all survive. Says this is inspired by actual events, so that will be interesting. I may have to see if there's like a nonfiction, if I really like that, to see more about the facts of the actual case or whatever that's based on. So that'll be interesting. All right, next up is a book that unfortunately there is no synopsis on Goodreads, but I did find something on Amazon. This is Fortune's Fool. It says it's a crime thriller and it's book number 1 in Chance McCabe book series. As of right now, it says it's book 1 of 1, so this is a brand new series. The synopsis, let's see, it says beaten, shot, dumped in a swamp, and left for dead. Maybe going back was a mistake. Chance McCabe tried to convince himself he doesn't care about the old man or about her. He has bigger problems. His last job went sideways. No payoff, and a member of his crew left dead at the scene. He doesn't want to go home, not even to see her. He left for a reason, but then he does need a place to lay low for a while, and no one in the organization knows his background. No one would ever look for him in Hachutukney in that county, or would they? So it says it's twisty and violent, so be aware of that. If you don't like violence, then you may want to avoid that book. Up next is Retribution, written by C.M. Sutter. And this is book number 1 in the Psychic Detective Kate Pierce crime thriller series. This has a pretty good rating. It has 4,752 ratings with an average rating of 4.22. This is, like I said, a mystery thriller. It also has the tag of paranormal. So, it's listing other books by this author for other series. Jade Monroe, Psychic Detective Kate Pierce. Hang on. Jade Monroe, Amber Monroe. So it looks like, yeah, there's a couple of series. Okay, this is good to know. It says the Psychic Detective Kate Pierce crime thriller series follows on the heels of the conclusion of Travesty, which is book number 5 in the Amber Monroe crime thriller series. So let me see if I can, with the synopsis, if I can get kind of what this is about, but it's probably best to read that other series first. Let's see. The violent drug-related murders of 2 prominent attorneys have the homicide division of the Chicago Police Department scrambling for answers, but without clues. A motive or a suspect, not even the FBI can track down the killer. With the media demanding an arrest and at their wits' end, the Chicago Police Department makes an urgent call to the Washburn County Sheriff's Office in hopes of bringing in Kate Pierce, a psychic detective, on the case. A reluctant case agrees only when the word comes that Jesse McCord, a new friend and top-notch Chicago homicide detective, has gone missing. So you have missing police, so obviously the rest of the police are going to be up in arms about that. That's usually the case, at least in real life. But we shall see. Now, this does sound like maybe you can read this, but you might miss out before any of these other series, but you might miss out on a little bit of the world building. I don't know. I just don't know. I'll try to investigate that a little bit more. I'll probably want to read the other series before this one so I can have more of the world set up and not enter being really confused. So that's probably going to be the best situation, is what I think, just because of what it says. All right, final 4. This next book is called Malevolent. This is book number 1 in the Shay Archer series, written by Jana De Leon. This has a really good rating. It has 13,532 ratings with an average of 4.19. And this is a mystery crime thriller. And this one says, let's see, it's a new thriller series, so this author has written before. Everyone wondered about Shay Archer's past, including Shay. Shay Archer's life effectively began the night police found her in an alley, beaten and abused, and with no memory of the previous 15 years, not even her name. 9 years later, she's a licensed private investigator with the single goal: to get answers for her clients when there aren't supposed to be any, and maybe someday answers for herself. I was going to say, I would think she would want her answers to her own thing. Emma Friedrich thought her nightmare was over when she killed her abusive husband, but someone is stalking her and tormenting her with mementos from her past. With no evidence to support her claims, the police dismissed her claims as post-traumatic stress. But Shay is convinced that someone is deliberately terrorizing Emma, playing a cat-and-mouse game with only one goal in mind: to kill Emma. So that sounds pretty interesting. Maybe dual perspective, either that or there's just going to be the primary person that she's trying to investigate and get answers for. I don't know, but that actually sounds pretty good. Next up, we have a contemporary romance listed as new adult. It also says adult. This whole new adult thing, I kind of ignore. I'm just saying it's tagged as a new adult, but for me, adult is an adult. And I guess new adult's just on the younger end of adult because the characters are probably younger. But for me, it's an adult. Unless it says young adult, then I think YA, high schoolish age. But I don't know, that's my own thing. This one is called Baby Mine, written by Kennedy Fox. This is in the, looks like this is a duology because it does say it is book number 1 in the roommate duet. So because it says duet, unless they're talking like a duet regarding music, then maybe it's a longer series. I don't know. So, but I'm thinking it's maybe just a duology. I could be very wrong on that. This has 4,663 ratings with an average of 4.1. It says, I saw her first. Blonde, gorgeous, feisty. I was captivated, but it didn't matter because when she walks out of my best friend's bedroom half naked, I know I've lost my chance. Okay, well that's something that you don't expect to see. Now we're roommates and constantly fighting about our living arrangements. Though we argue about everything, I can't stop thinking about her in all the wrong ways. I should move out so I can finally get over her, but the selfish part of me can't let go. When tragedy strikes, we are left to deal with it together. Instead of pushing her away, I pull her closer. Just as we come to terms with our new reality, she reveals a life-changing event that affects us both. And I'm left to make the hardest decision of my life. Remain friends or confess my feelings and risk it all. So, it does say it's book 1 in the Hunter and Lennon duet and must be read first. So, okay, good to know. So it does sound like it is definitely a duology. Up next is Love at Wild Harbor. This is book number 1 in the Wild Harbor Beach series. I really like the cover I'm seeing on Goodreads. It's kind of like a romanticized beach view looking out from the inside of a gate with a beautiful sunrise or a sunset. Like that. 378 ratings with an average of 4.28. This was written by Grace Worthington, it looks like. This one is a Christian fiction, so I expect this to be a closed door or a clean romance. Because it's labeled as Christian fiction, so, and I'm sure there's going to be references to God and religion and scriptures because of that as well. I haven't read many Christian fiction. I would like to read more, but what I have read definitely has those elements. So, 1 chocolate shop, 2 fixer-uppers, 3 feisty sisters, 1 sweet love story to bring it all together. Lily Woods never expected to start life over again at 30, but when she opens a chocolate shop and buys a dilapidated beach cottage in Wild Harbor, she's ready to begin a new chapter, spending her days and nights creating fabulous chocolate treats. TV star Alex Briggs isn't about to put his heart on the line. He's finally landed his dream job at as the host of a wildly popular home renovation show. Now he's returning to Wild Harbor to flip a beach cottage, but he never imagined the project would land him next to the captivating girl who rejected him in high school. Oh, a second chance romance? Alex never recovered the piece of his heart he gave to Lily all those years ago. How will he keep his distance now that he can't escape the girl next door? Lily's determined to fix up her beach bungalow on her terms, but Alex isn't about to let her do it alone. Before Lily can stop him, Alex is on a mission to renovate her home and prove he's the kind of man she can trust. But secrets from their past threaten to destroy the relationship before it begins. Can the small town girl and big city star overcome their differences and find love again? So definitely a second chance romance. All right, we are now on the last book for this video. There will definitely be an additional, like a part 5 and maybe even a couple more. So, because I do like free books, definitely a great way to be introduced to new authors and see if the writing is something that you like. So, and try out new genres again to see if it's something that you're like, and that way you don't feel like you're wasting your money on something that you absolutely hate and despise. That is such an awful feeling. This one is called Mad About You. Now, you in this one is not Y-O-U, it is E-W-E. Mad About You. Written by Shanna Nix. And because of the way that you is spelled, I'm thinking this is a cozy mystery. I'll scroll down and see that in a minute. This is book number 1 in Common Threads series. This has 1,745 ratings with an average of 3.76. So scrolling down, this, it does not say it's a cozy mystery. It says it's a MF romance, so male-female, contemporary romance, chick lit, adult comedy. So I was wrong on that title. Doesn't surprise me. Dawn Botstein is doing just fine after her divorce. Thank you very much. She's got her yarn store to, okay, so the yarn, so it's probably like a U fabric, or fabric from material from a U. She's got her yarn store to run, her house to herself for the first time in her life, and no use for men anymore. That is, until the haughty silver fox who walks into her store turns out to be her whole old high school crush, the guy who rejected her over 30 years ago. So another second chance romance is what this sounds like. No way is she going to lose her head over him this time, no matter how well he wears that salt and pepper lumberjack beard. Okay, so he's the opposite of her ex in every way, and his attention gives her a thrill she thought she'd never feel again. She's not risking her heart again. I think I beg to differ on that. Mike Pelota is having a midlife crisis. Only instead of buying a red sports car he can't afford and dressing like a 25-year-old man, or a 25-year-old whose time traveled from the 1990s, he quit his job after his second divorce to move closer to his recently widowed mother. He didn't expect to run into Dawn again, but as soon as he lays eyes on her, he's utterly smitten. So he sets out to make up for past mistakes and prove he can be the kind of man she deserves. But is it too late for second chances, or will these two lonely hearts find a way back to each other? I'm betting they will. So that sounds pretty good. And I think these characters are a little older than me. I mean, I'm going to be 40. What age do men typically go through a midlife crisis? I don't know. Let's Google it because I'm curious. Let's see. Midlife crisis age. Between 40 and 60. So I'm right at the beginning. If I had a man in my life and he was 40, he'd be right at the beginning of the time that he could go through a midlife crisis, it looks like. So that's interesting. But where this is 1990s, I'm wondering if they were high school people. They were high schoolers in the 90s, so that would put him in his 50s. Because I was in high school in the 1999 to 2002. I graduated in 2002. So my high school was at the beginning of the 2000s. So I want to say he's about 10 years older than me. So late 40s, early 50s sounds like, depending on if I am correct on that assumption or theory. So that's it for this video. These are the books that I was notified in an email of all of these being free on Amazon. There were more, but I didn't get every single book. Some of them I was not too intrigued by the title or the cover, so I just kind of skipped those. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, these pretty much all sound pretty good. So for the most part, these all sound pretty good. I do like going over the synopsis with you and finding out together what these books are about, because then we'll know if there's certain, because sometimes when you read a synopsis, you can tell what some of the triggers are going to be, like if there's abuse, child abuse, sexual assault, you can get that in the synopsis. But to get more specific trigger warnings, obviously you're going to have to look that up and to avoid what is bothersome to you. So I will list in the description box all these titles and the authors of these titles, so you can look more into that if you so desire. And I don't know, this is fun. I am enjoying making these. I think this is really fun to find these new authors, these new books that I have never heard. I may have heard of like one or two out of all the videos I've done so far up to this point of some of the authors, but it could also just be saying that because the authors have popped up 2 or 3 times in those emails for the books that are free. So to hear about a bunch of books that I don't hear about on BookTube, I think is pretty cool. Definitely broadens my scope of what I'm looking for and might be intrigued in. So I don't know, I'm enjoying this. Talk to me in the comment section below. Let me know if you've read any of these books or books by any of these authors. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.